Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Planet Reddit. If you could travel back in time and give your parents advice on how to raise you, what would you say? You guys should go to a counselor for anger management issues and actually take their advice. Also, just because I'm sad or upset doesn't I'm being disrespectful. One last thing, don't push your dreams and goals on me. Let me accomplish my own goals. Love this. Thank you. Hey dad, use a ducking condom. I sadly don't believe they would ever listen, even if I could give them advice. But I'd definitely tell my mom to get a divorce ASAP. Dragging it out for 21 years only damages everyone. Hey dad, I know it doesn't seem like it, but your lazy, worthless son is watching you work your ass off, and later on in life he's going to remember how hard you worked every time he starts to slack off. People will compare him to you, and he'll consider it the greatest compliment ever. I know it feels like you're wasting your breath, but just keep leading by example. It's going to work. Kudos to your dad, and kudos to you for having the self-awareness to have realized this. Your dad sounds awesome, a true model of what dad should do. Please don't hit me just to make yourself feel better. I still remember you forcing me to lower my hands to my waist so you can get clear shots in. That's ducked. I'm sorry. The last time he did it I refused to cry. When he was done I told him it was the last time. I was getting bigger and stronger. 15 years old. He never physically abused me again. Please show up on time when you're supposed to pick us up from school, athletic practice, or a friend's house. It sucks being the last one left, alone, inconveniencing a friend's family or coach, and not knowing when you're coming. Please try not to watch things like the Howard Stern show around us. Please make more time for us, especially you. Dad, I know you worked hard, but working all of those second and part-time jobs so you could have your toys and hobbies meant that you were never around. And when you were either tired or working on your own interests. Please realize that I'm sitting so close to the television, squinting, have shitty handwriting, horrible physical coordination for sports, and bump myself a lot because I need glasses. Don't wait until the school nurse tells you when I'm in 3rd grade that I've needed glasses for years. Please don't share your workplace gossip at the dinner table. I don't need to know who's cheating with on whom where you work as an 8-year-old. And it makes me feel guilty and sad at the company Christmas party when I see these people with their husbands or wives. Please teach my brother how to cook and clean. Please teach me how to change my own oil, change spark plugs, fix things around the house, and know how to actually start the lawnmower. Please ask me if I want my entire room rearranged, including contents of drawers. And please ask me what's important or useful to me before throwing things away or donating them to charity when I'm at school. You're not doing me a favor. You're making me neurotic. Tell us you love us every day. Hug us more. God, I hope my daughter never writes this about me, especially the work thing. It would destroy me. Those last two hit home for me. My parents were the same way. If I was gone for more than a day I'd come back to find my room torn apart. My dad sold my Hot Wheels collection, 90s cars, all in packaging. At least one was worth $300 to a collector, for pennies. Now I just don't keep stuff. The entirety of my belongings can fit into my small hatchback with room to spare and I've long since moved out. Physical affection wasn't a thing, ever. Don't ducking hit me. And if you can't do that, then at least don't use large objects that leave scars. Thanks dad. Hey mom and dad, I'm not freaking out because I'm a dramatic teenage girl. I have hysterical meltdowns because I suffer from debilitating anxiety and don't yet have the maturity or experience to communicate my stress in logical and objective terms. Please take it easy on me. I punish myself for failure more than you ever could. I will remember the harsh things you say well into my 30s. Same issue, but with a painful twist. My youngest brother has anxiety, and when my parents realized his stress levels weren't normal, boys aren't supposed to cry, and spend all day in their room, and have trouble breathing every time they think of an upcoming test, they got him therapy and medication. My family still holds all of my mental breakdowns against me and firmly believe I was doing it all for attention because that's what teenage girls do. Not to mention that I was diagnosed at age 8, and that was honestly how they treated me, being sick in general vs my brothers. The boys were always as sick as they were saying, but I was exaggerating. They still wonder why I never come to visit anymore. I have a big extended family. One of my younger male cousins told his parents about his struggles with mental health, and there was this huge outpouring of support and sympathy for him. My mom would say how it must be so difficult for him. When I tried to open up about my struggle with depression as a teenager, my mom rolled her eyes, heaved a sigh and said, "So you're depressed now? Is that what you're telling me?" Then I cried and she said it was only cause I always had to get a big reaction out of people. Shit hurts. I'm so sorry they wouldn't help you like they did your brother. Capital X. The hands off, laissez-faire style of parenting is fine, but give me some boundaries and teach me how to set goals. Same, but I'd have to introduce them to me first. Hey, put the kid up for adoption. You're a ducking psychopath and you're going to drive him to suicide. I was looking for that as I didn't think I could be the only one. I escaped and have grown up to be happy, but I am truly amazed I did. My brother killed himself though. I think the oldest in the family always has it worst. And guess who the oldest is in mine? Surprise. I'm jealous and glad for you. My parents were a nightmare and left me deeply scarred. An abusive relationship completely broke me and now I haven't eaten in days, both out of depression and just can't afford it. I have 5 prescriptions, some of which I can't take. I can't sleep, cry for no reason. Didn't sleep last night because the entire night I was thinking of ways to die. Jealous and glad because I'd like to feel happy, but also that you were able to turn things around. It's not easy and I'm a failure. Nice to see someone has. Do everything the opposite. I'd have told mine adoption is an option. They really bad, no business raising kids. Not bad. They were bad at it though. You're doing great. Don't worry. I turn out fine. I like this one. Reading all of these heartbreaking comments about horrible parents reminds me how thankful I am for mine. They weren't perfect, but I always felt loved and safe. Came to say this. I came here to learn how to be a better parent, and the comments started out funny but just slowly got more and more depressing as I scrolled down, and now I'm just sad and reflecting back onto when I would get loud towards my daughter because I was frustrated. She's only 3 years old, but I think reading these comments have me rethinking everything. It can be hard, man, especially when they don't listen, but try hard to put yourself in their shoes. They don't understand your stresses because they can't yet. So instead try understanding their stresses and reassuring them it's okay to take that risk. Try that thing. Do it themselves. And that you'll be there to cheer them on and cheer them up. Whatever they need. Don't let her ignorance of your life and stress lead to your ignorance of her life and stress. I came here to say the exact same thing. I definitely have been slacking as a single parent. And excuse it as too busy, but my kids always deserve the best me before anyone else, including myself. Let us make a mental note to all parents to be intentional with our little humans we're raising and being kinder as we all want our children to be. Sending hugs to all parents and wanting to be better for them. Dad, we don't need more milk. Nonsense. Buys a milk factory. Well, that just sounds like a cow with extra steps. Don't raise me how your father raised you. Mom and Dad, I'm struggling with school so much because my ADHD is ducking wrecking me. Ducking same. Man. How did it not occur to either of my parents that my poor overall grades and high level of intelligence, I hate typing that but apparently it's true, don't add up. You doing better now? Anxiety is a thing that exists. Calling them oversensitive doesn't help. Don't ducking threaten to murder your children, ever. Don't grab them by the throat, slam their head into the front door, and yell about killing them just because you had a bad ducking day. Don't repeatedly full arm slap your kid in the face because they made friends with other kids in the neighborhood and your racist ass couldn't deal with the fact that they were Mexican. Don't ducking cheat on your wife. Don't go to church and tell everyone we're a happy, model family. Don't ignore literally everything we say that doesn't align with what you think we should say. Actually, strike all that. I'd be typing for hours if I went on a list like that. Instead, plant your seed and leave. We'd have been better off. Damn. Sorry. Hope things are better now. Stop getting irrationally angry at small children who cry and sob, mommy, when they're upset because it's the most comforting word they know, even when they've just been spanked. Then don't scream. You want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about, and then just spank them harder. All you've done is make your children afraid of you. I hate that. My aunt used to do that to my cousin when she'd cry after being physically punished. So you hurt a child. Their first instinct is to cry. So you hit them for naturally reacting to the situation to teach them a lesson. The only lesson you're teaching them is that they aren't allowed to show emotions. I wish they'd convinced me on why brushing teeth was so important. I'd bring back some articles about misophonia so they'd hopefully be more understanding of my visceral aversion to family dinner time. Imagine if parents understood misophonia. Maybe life would have been less of a living hell. Yeah, my father took it very personally when I said I didn't want to be at the dinner table because the sounds of people eating made me ill. It was not a good time. To get divorced way earlier. To get divorced. Please send me to therapy. Teach me how to speak Spanish so I'm bilingual. Stop feeding me shit food. All those toys you're about to throw out and yard sale? Yeah, don't. Turns out they don't make them like they used to, and some of them are worth a fortune if left in the box. Spend more time talking and less time screaming at me. Don't involve your kid in your arguments. I'm your child, not a soldier. Parenthood isn't boot camp. I feel you, comrade. I wish I could give you a hug of empathy. Feed me more. My friends should not have to provide me food so I don't starve. Argue in private and not in front of me. As a kid, that really messes with you. I'd try to teach them how to communicate their emotions better and how to manage relationships more equitably. I'd tell them to embrace my interests and find common ground rather than disengaging because I don't like football or art. Just listen to the duck-eyeing psychiatrist and give me the antidepressant pills. I'm not lazy. I am depressed for the bullying. If y'all don't love each other, just go ahead and divorce now instead of raising your children on a foundation of falsehood. Mom, you have a black child. Learn how to do kinky hair. Dad, don't wear that cologne. All the hot guys wear it and now I can't make out with them cause they smell like you. Also, don't raise me in a cult. Dad, get over it. Your parents were complete a-holes to you. But you don't have to make it a family tradition. Mom, you gotta cut back on the self-loathing and cigarettes. Lastly, you need to set up a nest egg. There's a movie director named George Lucas and he's gonna make a groundbreaking movie. Tell him, no matter what, do not let the princess kiss the farm boy. It is too ducking creepy. Get that writer's credit and sign for 15% of the merchandising. P.S. Your daughter will become a crazy beach. Send her to a convent or a Japanese fish processing ship. You'll thank me later. Join our community Discord. Link in description. Maybe screaming and hitting your children are defective parenting techniques. Get yourself to therapy and be less of an abusive duck. Mom, speak up for yourself. Don't ever joke or laugh about my frustrations or any negative feelings I experience. Try your best to listen, and you don't necessarily have to completely understand my situation. All I ask you is to listen when I try to explain to you what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling a certain way. That way, I'm able to learn to communicate my feelings in a proper manner. I wished my parents taught me this. I tend to bottle things up until it reaches capacity. Like a bomb, it just blows up regardless of where, when, or who I'm with. I hate that part of myself the most, and I've ruined multiple friendships and relationships for the same reason. I'm glad that my current boyfriend is patient and I've changed a lot compared to the time before I met him. Lately, I have been communicating a lot more about my feelings properly. Parents really need to teach children emotional management. It helps so much later in life. Don't adopt me and then abuse and neglect me. 18 years of damage has left a hell of a lot of problems for me to deal with. They wouldn't listen to me regardless. For duck's sake, stop hitting us all the time. stop ducking, drink less, and occasionally give a shit. Don't just say it is what it is. Adhere to it and don't ask questions. Instead, explain to me why it is the way it is when I ask about it. If I find a rule, law, or moral standard ludicrous, explain to me why it is the way it is. Converse with me about it. Don't just pass it off as unquestionable because it's a societal standard or legally enforced regulation. There's value in discussing things. Even if you don't think your child would understand it, explain it anyway. That's better than raising them to be a sheep that just follows protocol with no questions asked. You're creating a corporate slave when you do that, not a leader. It's important to know why things are the way they are in the world, so we can form opinions on them to make change if it's ever needed. Don't belittle our problems or feelings just because our childhood wasn't as violent or depressing as yours. Then you won't have to wonder why your kids can't talk to you. Don't send us to the store for cigarettes. The last 2 years wouldn't be the nightmare they have been. Especially for you. Dad, ease up on your parental control. Especially once me and my siblings reach age 18. We weren't bad kids. And we didn't need you to bear down on us every time we made a minor mistake. If you have an expectation, you have to voice it. Your kids are not mind readers and are resentful of your suddenly vocal disappointment because what you expected them say do didn't come to fruition. If we don't know your expectations, how are we supposed to meet them successfully? Off-track betting sites are no place for kids. PLZ don't fight and scream, I get scared. Get me the duck out of the projects. Get me the duck out of Cleveland public schools in the 70s and 80s. Just don't, honestly. You both suck at this. Dad, you were never proud of me or my brother. Impressing you seemed like a full-time job. So then you call me a rebel when I decide I'm not gonna work my ass off for someone for whom my best was never good enough. You focused on what I didn't do instead of what I did. You never asked what I wanted. You never gave a duck. Mom, you're selfish and can't think for yourself, so you just listen to whatever dad says. So I basically have 2 dads. You're barely a parent. I would encourage my dad to value spending quality time with each of my siblings, but particularly with his son, me, instead of spending that time doing household chores. Also, just to be emotionally available to your children. We had the same dad. Don't beat me, PLS, and invest in Bitcoin. Talk to me. I'd let them know about depression and how to take care of someone who has it. They treated me well growing up, but I'd be at a loss too if I wasn't fully educated on mental illnesses. Push me more. Pay attention to my schoolwork. Invest in my education. Don't let me figure things out on my own while you do your own thing. Put me on medication, PLZ. I think my parents did a fairly good job raising me, but much of my middle years, 10-15, was spent watching my parents spend tens of thousands of dollars on my older brother in order for him to pursue his dream of racing motocross. To his credit, he was pretty damn good at it too, but I never got even a fraction of the financial support he got. Sometimes even things of mine were sold off in order to pay for parts for his bike. I had a go-kart that they sold instead of repairing it to get parts for his bike, and I got nothing to replace it. First thing I'd tell them is to not pour so much money into my brother after he graduated high school. He was 5 years older than me, so he graduated when I was 13. Because it just made him into an entitled sponge that's still draining them financially, and he's almost 32 now. The second thing I'd tell them is to no drag me with to watch him chase his dreams every single weekend from late spring to late fall and even into the winter when he started ice racing. It was okay every once in a while to go, but I never had an option. And once my mom picked up photography, I ended up spending literally entire weekends just roasting in the sun listening to my iPod alone while my brother would be busy racing or working on his bike and my mom would be on the track taking pictures. I hated being there, and this was my mom's idea of spending time with her boys. If they would have just let me stay home and play video games or have a friend over, they were forced to come with 2, so nobody would come with more than once or twice. While they went out, I probably wouldn't be carrying this bitterness with me at 26. I've told her how I felt, but it was long after the fact and changed nothing. Tell them to feed me better and learn to say no. I was the fat kid until after high school. My mom didn't know how to say no to me. Both me and my sibling had childhood obesity. It took a lot of work, but I eventually lost the weight. I do still struggle with it now as an adult, but I'm no longer fat. Really wish she instilled better eating habits in me as a kid. Would have saved me a lot of bullying. Sign me up for lifelong martial arts. Keep me involved in after school activities. Support my educational decisions instead of handicapping me. I'd be a physician right now. I would tell them to leave me alone more. Let me pursue my interests instead of worrying about my place in the cool kids social hierarchy, and take fewer financial risks. Send me to Europe and make anyone adopt me there. Yes, raise me Swiss an option, because that would have been pretty dope looking back. Please spend more time with me. You'll be gone way too soon. Maybe that'll also help my self-esteem issues. Consequences for mistakes are a side effect. You don't need to add more punishments on top of that. When I start showing signs of taking about depression, listen to me because it's serious. Don't have kids. Dad doesn't actually want them. Give her some freedom. Controlling everything and not letting her figure out some shit herself will hurt her and your relationship in the long run. She will stop talking about important things to you and she will lie to you if you don't stop. You guys won't ever be really close if you don't let her breath. Dad, stop banging chicks that are not my mom. Get divorced now or keep your dong in your pants. Please just respect that I'm a human being with emotions too. Abuse is not discipline and will destroy me for the rest of my life. There's a difference between yelling at a kid and simply being disrespectful. Slut shaming your kid for the smallest things will affect them. And for God's ducking sake, if you're fighting, please don't do it in front of your children. The anxiety that your child gets and feels follows them day by day. You're mature enough to argue quietly in another room. Please don't forget to think of how you act, as your demeanor and actions will be the reflection of the people your children will let into their lives. Take our feelings into consideration. I never really had a how the real world works talk and was still pretty naive as a young adult. Having that talk with my kids fairly young would be good. Well before they're in their teenage stage so they would understand the basics of money, friends, interests, greed, power. Don't let me watch so much TV. I may enjoy it, and it may make me quiet while you need to focus on grading papers or being an adult. But my perception of how life is supposed to work is getting seriously warped by the stories I'm seeing. How to relate to women. How to plan for long projects. Montages aren't real. How to like myself as an introvert when most main characters are extroverts. There's a lot you didn't take the time to teach me and it shows. Hey mom, tell me that you love me. Hug me more. I need physical contact. Don't yell at me when I tell you I did something wrong. I worked hard to find the courage to tell you the truth. That's how I started telling lies to you. That's why I'm always scared to tell you the truth even if I didn't do something wrong. But I believe it will disappoint you. Be patient. I know kids are annoying sometimes, but it was your choice to have 3. Don't always act like you're annoyed by all we do. Now I think everyone thinks I'm annoying. Teach me that making mistakes is okay. The important thing is learning from them. Hey dad, I know you need to work, but mom didn't make 3 children on her own. Be more interested in what happens in our lives. When I tell you the same thing 5 times I feel like you don't care. As long as I have my good grades in school all is good. But do you know that my life is not only school? You don't know everything just because you're older than me. If you don't know something it doesn't mean that it isn't true. I'm in university. I've studied for years. In my field I know more things than you. Don't tell me the purpose of life is having a family, wife, husband and children. If I tell you that I don't want kids is because I'm scared I will make the same mistakes you and mom did. They may seem smaller mistakes, but they affected me a lot. Please look into my learning and behavioral issues earlier so I don't struggle through all of school. Mom, you did the right thing in leaving. You wanted to be young and not have the responsibility of children, and I don't blame you for leaving dad. He was a very angry person. Just do it sooner. Leave us with dad. Don't try to sue for custody. You will only give up halfway down and choose drugs over us. Don't spend my childhood calling once every few years because you miss us and you are our mom. It only hurts us more. Just stay away. Date your pedophile boyfriend. And don't contact me as an adult. Make your decision and live with it. And keep your mom and niece out of it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.